Hi, Julie. Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So you're a freshman at Wharton now. When you were a junior at Richard Montgomery High School in Rockville, Maryland, you submitted an essay to the Knowledge Wharton High School essay contest, and you placed first in the 11th, 12th grade entrepreneurship category. Talk a little bit about your essay. What did you write about?
So they say the best business ideas come from personal experience. So I remember standing outside at 6 a.m. in the morning waiting for the bus to arrive and having my iPod and also having my gloves on and not being able to turn the wheel on my iPod to change the song or to make the volume louder. So I was really frustrated by that, and I'd have to take off my glove every single time and reposition my glove. And for me, that was a huge hassle. So I wrote basically an essay about the solution that I saw to that, and since the business plan really asked more for how you would conceptualize the idea or how you would market the idea, I just went ahead and talked about kind of my strategies for how I would approach this problem. And so the product I described was one that had a synthetic type material that would also be compatible with a touchscreen capacitive technology. So I had to do a lot of research about where touchscreen technology was heading and kind of the mechanics of how that works and what types of fibers would probably work with a touchscreen iPhone. Yeah, I developed the product, and then the really fun part was coming up with the marketing for it, because I had to really think to myself what, as a consumer, drove me to make a purchase. So when you're in high school, obviously you use your parents' money for a lot of things. So maybe you don't really think about your purchases, but you are influenced a lot by what you see in the media or what the celebrities are wearing, or kind of I was a really artsy person, so aesthetics really mattered to me as well. So I developed this marketing plan that was kind of based on pop culture impact and celebrity marketing. So I submitted my plan, and that was basically my first exposure to Wharton.
Interesting. So to stay on this topic for just a minute, the product that you developed is skins, right? Mm-hmm. These are gloves, basically.
Yes.
And did you take it anywhere? I mean, you put all this energy into developing the plan. Did you have any ideas of actually taking this entrepreneurial idea and turning it into something real?
Well, at the time, I was also working on a different project that I'd founded at my school, which was a nonprofit arts education initiative called Create with Care. So I was kind of focused on that at the time, and I didn't really have time to move into a high-tech business venture. But what I can say about the business plan was kind of knowing that Wharton had resources and also put an emphasis on entrepreneurial programs and promoting that entrepreneurial spirit made me really consider Wharton when I was doing my college applications, because I wanted to go to a school where you could really explore your interests and you'd have the resources to do that. I mean, I'm a freshman now, but I definitely think I've met a lot of people that are going to be great resources moving ahead if I ever wanted to start an entrepreneurial venture. I think that's definitely something I'm interested in. I know there are a lot of programs at Wharton that support that exactly. So moving forward in my next 4 years, I would definitely want to get involved. And even if it's not this idea, I mean, there are a ton of ideas around, and just kind of capturing the synergy, capturing kind of the spirit and energy on this campus, I think, is something that I can leverage moving forward.
So tell me a little bit about Create with Care.
Oh, okay.
What happened with that?
Okay, so basically, to change the world, start local, right? They all say that. So in my county, we had huge budget deficits, obviously, because, every county across the nation was facing this because of the recession. So one of the first things that they cut was arts education funding, because I guess arts are considered not as important or not as concrete as maybe cutting science funding, which to some extent is understandable. But for me, I had a passion for art, and I'd always had the opportunity to take private art classes and have really great arts instructors throughout public school as well. I wanted to make sure students would still have the opportunity to learn about arts and crafts in school and kind of explore those interests. I also had done an internship at the National Institutes of Health the summer before, and they had this center called the Children's Inn, and it's basically a hospital for patients, but a lot of the patients also kind of undergo clinical research that happens at the National Institutes of Health because they might have a condition that is specific or kind of unique or rare. Create with Care is a combination of these two interests. So we work through local high schools to promote peer-to-peer instruction on arts arts and crafts. So everything we actually make is donated to local hospitals. So the idea is really that you kind of brighten this child's day by sending them like a friendship bracelet with a nice note attached, or just something to decorate their room with. We had like origami mobiles, just something to brighten up like kind of very like stark white hospital scene. So
you founded this. What happens to an endeavor like this when you leave high school and go to college?
You definitely learn a lot from starting an initiative in high school. You learn about managing people, managing relationships, managing your time well. You learn about how to go about addressing an issue that you see as important. So that's definitely a mindset and a skill set that you take to college with you. However, when you're in college, you really don't have much time to kind of deal with, or at least I felt like I didn't have enough time to deal with what I'd started in my high school days. So for me, it was really important to pass it off to someone that I trusted that would keep the initiative going.
Mm-hmm. Back on the essay contest for just a minute. I don't want to leave it just yet. What prompted you or motivated you to participate in it, to actually submit an essay for the contest?
So definitely kind of an underutilized but super important resource in high school is your guidance counselors, because they get forwards about contests and competitions and scholarships all the time. So I would say visiting your high school counselor maybe like once a month would be a good idea, especially during like the spring like contest season, because there's a lot going on. There are a lot of like corporations, a lot of schools, lots of institutions that are putting contests out there, and there are a lot of like really great prizes, really great people that you can meet, and really great experiences that you can have by entering these things. So I learned about it through my high school counselor, who knew I was kind of interested in business and kind of just forwarded it along to her students. What kind of encouraged me to enter these contests, because sometimes you read a contest prompt and you're a little daunted and you're like, well, you know, I know like 20,000 people are going to enter this. I don't know if I want to enter this. So I was definitely daunted by kind of Wharton is this brand name school, so I knew a lot of people would enter, and it was also an international competition, which obviously would increase numbers. What really made me want to enter the contest was the fact that the criteria and the rubric really stressed your creativity. It said, look, we're really looking for someone that can think outside the box and someone that like really has a good like critical angle towards solving a problem or like marketing this product. So I think the emphasis on creativity is what encouraged me to apply, definitely.
It's a good message. There's a lot of creativity in business.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've talked about the entrepreneurial spirit on campus here. Mm-hmm. What are you studying at Wharton? What's your focus?
So I'm a freshman, so we technically don't have to declare a concentration until the end of sophomore year, but there's such an emphasis here on really exploring your options and exploring what you're interested in. So I've definitely been thinking about concentrations a bit. And the culture here has a very strong like mentorship bias in that upperclassmen are always willing to talk to underclassmen about, you know, what they found useful or what concentrations in classes they think are really important to take or they think like have a huge value add to an undergraduate education. Mm-hmm. So just kind of by feeling through that and kind of doing some thinking on my own, I think I'd definitely be interested in doing an entrepreneurial management concentration, probably a minor in energy and sustainability. I'm really interested in OPM because I took an OPM class this semester. So you kind of arrive at your concentration decision.
Can you talk about OPM a little bit for those who don't know what that means?
Well, so OPM is such a cool class because the people that are teaching it basically invented this subject. And you'll find this a lot at Wharton because a lot of the professors here are leaders in their fields, or they've basically created topics that they're teaching about. So OPM is one of those classes. Basically, it's really interesting to basically put a number and equations to things that happen in everyday life. So you probably stood in a line before at Starbucks, but it wasn't until OPM that I learned that there are like actual mathematical ways you can predict how long the queue is going to be based on how many servers there are and kind of the setup of how lines are created. So OPM basically is like a strategic and like decision processes like framework for looking at like maybe everyday situations and operations that happen within a business, which is why I loved OPM so much. So
we first heard from you in high school. Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Where would you like to be?
what I've learned since coming to Wharton is that business is so broad, and there are so many opportunities you can take advantage of, especially coming from Wharton, because you come with a technical skill set that all employers and all people respect. You come with the ability, moreover, to make relationships work and to present yourself really well and to know how to look for opportunity. So I would say like the technical skills as well as kind of the relationship, people skills that you learn at Wharton are so important. So kind of having that, it's a really empowering sense, because once you get here and you're surrounded by this culture of everyone being able to pursue different interests, you know that there's really nothing you can't do. So, I mean, I would personally love to do something where I get to travel a lot. I think I might want to write a memoir one day, but that's probably not in 10 years. But definitely live a life where I move around and explore a lot of different things. I think I'd love to work in like an industry that I care a lot about, like energy or maybe media. So that's what the business education really gets you, the ability to feel like you can look at the world and see opportunity in it.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank
It's been great
so
talking
much.
with you.
Yes.